Facta. Fresh news every day.
Russian propaganda is going all in. They're directly threatening a nuclear strike against Donald Trump. Drones in the skies over Denmark. NATO has closed the airports. There's an emergency meeting in Washington. The Pentagon is gathering generals and admirals tonight. Macron stated that drones violating NATO airspace must be shot down. Zelensky announced he will step down. When and under what conditions will he step down as president? Russia was publicly humiliated and ridiculed by the UN Secretary General himself. Europe agrees to shoot down Russian drones and planes. What happens next? The country's defense minister claimed it was no joke. A professional player launched them from close range, intending to sow panic and chaos in the skies.
I can't describe where they came from, but they weren't from very far away. It's happening here, locally, he said. The purpose of these drone launches was to incite fear among the population rather than shoot down the drones, to avoid putting people in danger.
At the same time, the country's Ministry of Justice stated that the government will seek additional ways to neutralize drones. Denmark closed Aalborg Airport again due to unidentified UAVs this night. This is the third incident in recent times. The airspace was closed for an hour while police searched the area. They found nothing. The Washington Post stated that Hegseth orders rare, urgent meeting of hundreds of generals, admirals. The Pentagon has summoned military officials from around the world for a gathering in Virginia. Even top generals and their staffs don't know the reason for the meeting. It seems America is seriously considering the threat Russia poses to the world. Share your thoughts in the comments. Poland seeks to ditch NATO, EU approval to down objects over Ukraine. Warsaw is moving to give its military the green light to shoot down Russian drones over Ukraine without waiting for NATO or EU approval in a bid to reclaim rapid response powers stripped under a 2022 law. Warsaw, Poland is preparing to amend its law on military deployments abroad to allow its forces to shoot down Russian objects such as drones over Ukraine without prior NATO or EU approval. Poland, too, is not standing on the sidelines of serious decisions, having declared its firm stance to the entire world. And what else can you do when your neighbor is Russia, which attacks any country on a whim without fear? Sweden and Poland have launched joint military drills Gotland Sentry, focused on defending the strategic Baltic island of Gotland. The message is clear. Both nations are prepared to secure the Baltic Sea together. Polish commanders stress that the exercise tests rapid deployment and coordination of forces on land, in the air, and at sea. Airborne units and coastal missile troops are involved. For NATO allies, it's a direct signal Moscow must reckon with united defenses on the Baltic front line. Oscar Ganis said, "It's essentially like a huge aircraft carrier in the middle of the Baltic Sea." Polish Navy Vice Admiral Krzysztof Jaworski stated that long-range missile systems could be used from the island to defend allies and deter Russia. By deploying missile systems on Gotland, it would be possible to control almost the entire Baltic region. Trump Jr. said the obvious takeaway from the past 2 weeks of media coverage is that the soulless ghouls in the Dem media care more about a left-wing talk show host who purposely lied about the Charlie Kirk assassination for political pony reasons, Charlie Kirk actually being assassinated. French military base in Marne under the skies drone with intelligent intelligence.
The government of Poland has mentioned it. Tusk has said, "We are ready to repel provocations and attacks and will shoot down objects when they violate our territory." Do you support that stance?
First, Prime Minister Tusk is right in saying that if there are new violations, then that is what we will do.
But Russia spent millions and millions of dollars in bombs, missiles, ammunition, and lives, their lives, and they've gained virtually no land. I think it's time to stop. I really do. And so we ought to stop. Putin ought to stop. Settle. But I'm very disappointed in Putin.
A United media source reported that MERS is calling on the EU to use frozen Russian assets to defend Ukraine and is proposing a $152 billion military loan. Germany is proposing a strike against Moscow's coffers. Chancellor Friedrich Merz has proposed an initiative The European Union should use frozen Russian assets to finance Ukraine's defense. This step could unlock approximately $152 billion in loans and ensure long-term military support for Kyiv. The Ukrainian Ministry of Defense announced that all men aged 25 to 60 who were not registered for military service will now be registered automatically. People aged 25 to 60 years who were not on the list will be placed on a new one automatically. Europeans privately tell Russia they're ready to shoot down jets. Russia takes risk of jets being shot down. Dutch PM Schoof says European diplomats warned the Kremlin this week that NATO is ready to respond to further violations of its airspace with full force, including by shooting down Russian planes, according to officials familiar with the exchange. Let's see if anything changes for Putin. What do you think? Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov stated, NATO and the European Union want to announce, they have already declared a real war on my country, and they are directly participating in this war as well. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte commented on Lavrov's words as follows.
Lavrov, he's foreign minister of Russia, I think, since the birth of Jesus Christ. And since then, anything useful came out of his mouth. So let's not pay too much attention to Mr. Lavrov.
I think this is a very fitting response for a scoundrel like Sergei Lavrov. Share your opinion in the comments. Donald Trump hosted Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan at the White House. During the visit, they discussed many important topics. Donald Trump made several important statements.
Come on, we'll go in. Let's go into the Oval. You see a brand new, beautiful Oval Office. You see a substantially upgraded Oval Office from Biden. So this is a tough man. This is a guy who's highly opinionated. Usually I don't like opinionated people, but I always like this one. But he's a tough one, and he does an amazing job in his country.
Turkey signed a major agreement with the United States. Ankara guaranteed $43 billion in American LNG imports for 20 years. Starting in 2026, the country will receive 4 billion cubic meters of liquefied gas annually. Donald Trump said he would agree to F-35 deliveries.
Any other
Would you make a deal on F-35s, Mr. President?
I will be able to easily if I want. So we may do that, yeah.
But not yet.
Well, it depends. He's going to do something for us, yeah. Please.
Also, President Donald Trump decided to show the Oval Office to the Turkish president. When asked by journalists how the negotiations went, Trump stated that his talks with Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan went excellent. European Commission President von der Leyen said it was permissible to shoot down Russian aircraft violating NATO airspace after a warning.
He said, I'm not NATO, but I have a personal opinion.
Yeah, what is
yes,
it?
My opinion is we have to defend every square centimeter of the territory. And that means if there's an intrusion in the airspace, after warning, after being very clear, of course, the option of shooting down a fighter jet that is intruding our airspace is on the table.
So do you commit that if tomorrow President Putin agrees for a ceasefire of 3 months, 6 months, whatever, you will push forward to go for elections in Ukraine?
Yes. If we will finish war with Russians, yes, I'm ready not to go, because it's not my goal, elections. I want it very much in a very difficult period of time. Be with my country, help my country.
Welcome to our Nuclear Maniacs Club. In Russia, the propagandists declared on air, Donald Trump, you're talking about business, but we have a switch that will wipe out everything, all your business plans, all your, so to speak, developing, so to speak, all your, and crypto. Yes, crypto, and all yours. We'll turn off the electricity, and that's it, so to speak. That's how it dies, with music, a little crazy. And what about us? We spent a long time convincing them that we will go to heaven, but they'll just die. A cinema has opened in the Netherlands for those who can't just sit and watch a movie. Visitors are invited to not only enjoy the cozy atmosphere, but also to do something else while watching.